Good afternoon and welcome to France for the 86th running of the Le Mans 24 Hours. The Circuit de la Sarthe host once more to the biggest race on earth. 4 classes with 60 cars and 180 drivers are about to battle over the world's most evocative, demanding but rewarding circuits that motor racing has ever had. For many, this is the focus of an entire year, but for some, it's the focus of their entire motor racing life. To get even an entry here is something. To drive on the hallowed tarmac is reserved for a select few. But to be on the podium is what so many strive for in the world of motorsports. To win the Le Mans 24 Hours is the biggest thing a racing driver can do. Toyota are the favourites this year, but there's so many more LMP1 cars in 2018. Now the race is on. Button, Alonso, Montoya, Maldonado are the new headline drivers here at Le Mans in 2018. Montoya has already won the Indy 500 and the Monaco Formula 1 Grand Prix. Can he make it the Triple Crown in his LMP2 car? Unlikely, but with this race, you just never know, because that is what Le Mans is all about. This is the trophy that they are all gunning to take home, and that's the 2017 trophy being brought up to the grid. The trophy that Timo Bernhard, Brendan Hartley and Earl Bamber won last year with Porsche. This is the FIA World Endurance Championship, the super season. The Spa 24 Hours has already taken place. Here we are at Le Mans, then we go to Silverstone in August, to Japan, and then to China. Next year, there's a 1,000-mile race in Sebring in America, then back to Spa, finishing up here at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 12 months' time. Therefore, it is that season straddling the 2 years. Here we have a superstar, Rafa Nadal, winner of the French Open tennis just last week, the #1 in the world, 17 Grand Slam titles to his name, the best ever clay player ever in tennis. Here we are on the grid. The cars are all lined up. What a view that we have got. Toby Moody, Julian Porter and Karun Chandhok. Karun, you were in this race last year. You were there on the grid just 12 months ago. What are these guys thinking right now?
Well, you're just soaking it in. Actually, I like this part when all the crowds, because 20 minutes ago you had thousands of people on the grid. It was absolutely rammed. But now they've all gone. It's just you, your immediate crew standing there in a line. The trophy comes past you. You look to your right, you see the enormous grandstands. And we know here in France they're a very patriotic crowd. And in a few moments we'll hear Les Marseillais, and the whole atmosphere comes alive when the grandstand starts singing it as well. It is a very special feeling. And I think certainly for the drivers who are going to be starting the race, their mind is already on that first stint. Their mind is already on what's the track temperature like, how are we going to get the tires to last, you know, do we do 2 stints, 3 stints? Their mind is already on that. The other 2 guys, well, they're kind of thinking about, have I had lunch yet? Do I need a massage? Have I had enough hydration?
They're yet to get to that point. Julian Porter also with us in the commentary box. 3 of us here out of a team of 8 that we've got bringing you the action here in 2018. There's the trophy being brought up to the front of the grid, Julian. What a race we had last year. Can that drama been beaten?
I'm not sure whether we want it to be beaten or not, do we? I mean, it was just incredible. But as you said, Le Mans, it's a year's work. And those people who didn't have a successful June last year, they turn around and say, right, 365 days time, we've got to sort this out. And it is a whole accumulation of a massive amount of work as the trophy gets lifted out of the back. And yeah, that's what it's all about.
But what's really nice actually at Le Mans, and that's very unique on the grid, is they play the national anthem of every single driver. And every driver feels a bit special, you know, that, hey, they're playing this for me. And we have a Malaysian team on the grid for the first time. Jean Todt, of course, the president of the FIA, who masterminded the Peugeot victories here at Le Mans in the early 90s. Jackie Hicks on the right-hand side, Le Mans legend, of course, with Porsche. So, yep, the big wigs are here. And Rafa Nadal, I'm sure he's cheering his countryman on, isn't he, Fernando Alonso?
Yes. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yes. Will he be the second Spanish winner of this race? Now then, let's go through the 4 classes. This is the GTE AM category, a professional driver mixed in with some amateur drivers, gentleman drivers, call them what you will. That was the 54 Spirit of Race AF Corsa Ferrari. And then we've got the first of our Dempsey Proton Racing Porsches, the number 77 car. Matt Campbell, Christian Reed and Julian Andlauer. That's the black, grey and baby blue coloured Porsche. And of course, in the AM category now, Julian, the Porsche 911 RSR that was new in the top class last year has now cascaded down to the AM category.
Yeah, and it's been very, very quick. It really has. And there's the Gulf car. They were second quickest in qualifying. So there's a big battle, and Porsche seem to have the upper hand in that category. And it's a 24-hour race, but realistically, it's a 24-hour sprint now. It has totally changed.
So we now await to see the pole position car in the GTE AM category, as the French patriotic fans look on, and what a view those guys have got on the start-finish line. Here is the number 88, the Dempsey Proton 911 Porsche, the RSR. It is being taken to that pole position by the Porsche Junior driver Matteo Caroli, Khaled Al-Khabaisi and Giorgio Roda. Big pride for Patrick Dempsey, yes, Mr. Hollywood himself, who drove in this race a couple of years ago. Mr. ER, and himself an established racing driver as an amateur, having won his class back at Fuji as part of the World Endurance Championship a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's you get all sorts here, don't you? You get drivers from all parts of the world, and as we hear the French national anthem.
La Marseillaise, a national anthem to stir the soul of the fans here as we await the French army to arrive with the flag that will be waved to start this race off. They're going to be arriving in their NH90 Cayman, a big helicopter when it arrives in a couple of minutes' time. In fact, it's hoving over the top of the horizon, over the Ferris wheel as we speak. And it is Dominique Marceau who is the captain, the pilot of this helicopter. It's already been through town a couple of days ago, and my goodness me, it doesn't half rattle the windows out when it comes through. The ALAT, the l'Aviation Légère l'Armée de Terre, as the correct nomenclature for the guys in this helicopter. We can see them just about to land on our commentary position. Our TV is shaking. Such is the downwash from these guys. Look at that shot of the Cayman in the foreground and the 60 cars and 180 drivers in the background. The commandos, the infantry guys now come down the ropes, and soon they will be handing the starter's flag to none other than Jack Ickx, a 6 times outright Le Mans victor here in the Circuit de la Sarthe. He won it in 69 in a Ford GT40, in 75 in a Golf Mirage, and then his string of 4 victories with Porsche in 76, 77, 81, and then 1982 with the Porsche 956. It's always been a tradition for the start of the Le Mans 24 Hours for these guys to bring the flag down, and quite a show it is. That is quite some delivery that guy has done. They make sure that the flagpole is all present and correct. And everybody involved in this race, big responsibility to get things absolutely spot on, and they have done it just to the second. What a live shot over the grid. I've seen some shots in motorsport. That's quite something, isn't it?
It really is, and I think all the drivers and mechanics and the team personnel on the grid appreciated that, but it's impressive, isn't it? But here we go. Here's the flag, and we are now 20 minutes to the start.
Absolutely, it's going to be the start at 3 o'clock here, local time in France. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the globe, around the planet, following our coverage throughout practice, qualifying, the warm-up this morning, and now the race itself, the 86th running of the Le Mans 24 Hours. Rafa Nadal on the grid. Michael Fassbender, he's had a quick lap just been given to him by former winner of this race, Alex Wurz, in one of the special prototypes, as the flag is handed to Rafa Nadal. Tennis legend in amongst motor racing legends here at Le Mans.
He looks slightly uncomfortable, doesn't he?
It is quite something. You sometimes wonder, Karen, you know, he can take the pressure of the Roland Garros or Wimbledon or wherever, but this is something else. I suppose he can soak it all in, the theatre and the drama of a moment, rather than focusing on what he has to do when there's a racket in his hand.
Exactly. This is a fun day out for him. It's a huge privilege, and I think Rafa is he's very respectful of world sport. He's very respectful of what's big sporting events and what other great sportsmen are out there on the planet. I know he follows the Spanish MotoGP riders. He's a big follower of Fernando Alonso, and he does follow his motorsport.
Now then, let's get into the GTE Pro category. We've got a brand new car for Aston Martin, the new Vantage with the lime green colour scheme. It had one of the cars had a big crash here in the test session a couple of weeks ago, but they've completely rebuilt the car and it is all sorted and they are ready for their start. 6 different manufacturers in GTE Pro, and the Aston Martin, the first one that we had a glimpse of there. Alex Lynn, Maxime Martin and Johnny Adam, they're in one car. Marco Sorensen, Nicky Team and Darren Turner in the other car. Meanwhile, here is the first glimpse, Julian, of the brand new M8. It's only done one race, that was at Spa at the beginning of the season. It's their first race with the car here at Le Mans.
It is, and huge heritage for BMW. They've come into it and they've got themselves in a real massive battle, haven't they, with their 81 and their 82 cars. And yep, they struggled a little bit in qualifying, and then they got a little bit quicker, and hopefully they will be a bit more on the pace.
Yeah, just looking there, guys, the mechanics are wheeling out the tyres on the grid. And this is what is unique about Le Mans, is unlike any other race, the cars and the teams are sitting on the grid for an hour and a half. They're out there. But the actual race tyres, you can see them being wheeled out. Fritz van Aert and Jan Lammers walking by, and Andre Lotter getting in. He is going to start the race in that Rebellion. Now you get to the actual racing part. The focus comes from away from the pomp and show onto let's get the right tires on, let's get the engine temperatures up, let's get the gearbox temperatures up, let's get all of it in the right window for the start. You can see the drivers putting their helmets on as well and getting into their cars.
Quick glimpse a moment ago of the reigning champions with the number 51 Ferrari, Pierre Guidi, James Collado, with Daniel Serra now at the helm of the Ferrari 488 GTE. As we then saw a quick glimpse of Andy Priaulx getting in the car, and the first glimpse of the Pink Pig, the retro colour scheme reflecting what Porsche did in 1971 with the Porsche 917. It had extra wide bodywork on it for aerodynamic purposes, and one of the engineers said, it doesn't look that good. In fact, it looks like a pig. So somebody said, well, why don't we make it look like a pig with the marks of the butcher's cuts on each corner? They've also got the Rothmans retro livery, similar to the Rothmans Porsche that Jackie Ickx used here in the early 80s. Derek Bell, Hans Stuck, etc. And that qualified on pole position, and a dominating pole position as well with Jimmy Bruni. Stunning time.
I was going to say, that car's going anything but like a pig. It is going unbelievably quickly. The Porsches have been the benchmark all week long, really, all through practice and qualifying. It's gone extremely well. But people like Ford and Aston and Ferrari, they feel more confident in the race. They feel that Jimmy Bruni did an outstanding job and got all the track conditions absolutely spot on for that qualifying lap. But they think in the race they should be able to put up more of a fight.
What a shot. What a view.
It is quite something, isn't it? And as I said a moment ago, we've been lucky. We've seen a bit of motorsport, but this is a special day. This is a special weekend. This is a special hour. Now then, into LMP2. The TDS Racing number 28 is just qualified behind the number 26. That is the G-Drive car. They've all got the 4.2 Gibson V8 engine. Bulletproof engine, as you know, Karun. Orica chassis, Ligier chassis, Dallara chassis. No Riley here this weekend, so the 3 different chassis in the LMP2 category. And a lot of focus on this G-Drive car. They may have won the championship back in 2015, but you want to win Le Mans, and that's what those guys are gunning for.
Yeah, they did. You know, they had a tough race last year when, unfortunately, Rusinov had an accident quite early on that put them out. So I think they're looking for a little bit of redemption. John-Eric Verne is in that car as well. Very, very good, quick driver. And these guys at Dragon Speed, they've got a good lineup as well.
They have Gonzalez, Maldonado and Berthon. Yes, that is Pastor Maldonado, victor of the last Williams Formula 1 victory back in Barcelona a couple of years ago. But this is the car on pole position in LMP2. It is the IDEX Sport car, 10th overall on the grid, with Lafargue, Chatan and Rojas. 24.84 and a 24.88. That is how close LMP2 is. You cannot make a mistake, otherwise you're losing not 1 position but 2 or 3.
Yeah, P2 has been a great class. I mean, I've enjoyed racing in it the last few years. It is so competitive. And once again, we've got a quality field here.
There is the first of our glimpses at the Manor, the Ginetta, the LMP1 car. It's in the non-hybrid LMP1 category. That is Alex Brundle at the helm. His father, Martin, here this weekend. He raced in the Aston Martin race earlier today. The 1990 winner with the Silk Cut Jaguar. Great to see him here at this racetrack. And Alex Brundle gets the history. He gets what it's all about. Here's our first glimpse of the By Colles car. We've got in there Ollie Webb, Dominic Cryhammer and Tom Dillman. They had some of their lap times taken away after qualifying, but they're all sorted for today. And let's hope they have a good run in the early hours rather than the very bad luck that befell them 12 months ago. Nothing to do with them. They're in the wrong place at the wrong time at about the 4th corner, and they had to come in. Time ticking away, Julian.
Yeah, clear the grid. What's left now then, Karun? They've been given it. Jenson Button's car here. Obviously a big weekend for him in the SMP 11 car. Petrov is one of his teammates. I tell you what, Button has just kind of blended into everything all weekend. No one's really known he's been around.
Yeah, he's gone sort of under the radar, but he's really enjoying it. I think, you know, I spoke to the guy from SMP, and they said he's come with a great attitude, and he's really enjoying it. Ben Hanley here in the Dragon Speed BR Engineering car. So they start the race in 6th place, and you know, it's a great little fight, actually. Behind the Toyotas, you've got all those privateers. You've got the 2 Rebellions, you've got the 2 SMP cars, your Dragon Speed by Colles, and they're all actually within a couple of seconds, aren't they? So reliability and luck, all of that's going to come into place. Here is the first of those Rebellions, the number 3 car there, driven by Thomas Laurent, Mateus Pesch and Gustavo Meneses. And they, in some ways, they're sort of seen as the second car in that lineup, because of the driver lineup in the other cars got so much pedigree. However, they have shown great speed. You know, Thomas Laurent was, he's been a bit of a find really in LMP2. He was very strong last year and all through the season, not just at Le Mans. He was very strong in the second SMP car here. Stefan Sarrazin, extremely experienced. He's driven at Le Mans so many times over the years, and he will start. Rafa Nadal gives the command to start the engines, and it's 1 minute to go to the formation lap. Sebastian Buemi, the WEC World Champion, in the cockpit of that car. There is Nicolas Napier, his former teammate, in the LMP2 car.
Well, it doesn't get any more French than that, does it? The blue, the white, the reds of the Air Force coming down the home straight over the leafy green countryside of the Département du Sard, over the old circuit, past White House. That was what they used in the 50s, the 60s, and then the 70s. And just what a view here at Le Mans as we finish up looking at the guys on pole position, the two Toyotas, first and second. Let's mention that number 1 Rebellion. It's third on the grid. That is Andre Lotterer, Neil Gianni and Bruno Senna.
Yeah, that's it. I think they've got a good time, and they're in for a strong weekend. Mike Conway here on board, and we are on to our green flag lap.
So this lap is all about getting the tyres into the right temperature. Buemi, they're looking at the dashboard. They're going to be making sure that they're in the right modes, because they've got to use as little fuel as possible. You know, you want to make sure that, the Mike Collis car's got a problem. So the Mike Collis car hasn't fired up. That's not good news.
Commentators curse.
Well, we didn't really curse them, did we?
I hope not. I hope not. I hope not.
Well, yeah, it hasn't fired up. The marshal's standing in front of it. Problem is, they could see there's one of the mechanics still on the grid, but everyone else is gone. And if there's some sort of a software issue, this is not good news. The lights may be flashing, so I'm not sure. Anyway, we can't really speculate what's happened, but the rest of the pack are away. Now use a little fuel as possible, get the brakes up to temperature, get the engine cool, because when you're going this slow, you haven't got air flowing through the car as quickly as you do at racing speeds, and it's easy for the engine temperatures to go up.
Main risk is quite high. It's a big spot, and it's expected to hit the track around 3:05. Expected to hit the track around 3:05.
Well, this should be fun.
Well, just to explain that, 3:05, the race starts at 3. It's only fun because you're in the commentary box, not in the car, Karen. Come on,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, lap 2 is, I don't know how accurate we believe it. Oh, that's good news. So they have managed to fire it up. So it will start. He'll start at the back of the grid, behind the GT car. Oh, maybe not.
It stopped again. It stopped again. They're trying to get it started. They're trying to get it started. And you're recycling, you're resetting, you're trying to get everything all forward. But what can Toyota do at Le Mans? They have never won Le Mans. They've tried, they've tried. They've led with 3 minutes to go a couple of years ago, but it wasn't to be when an intercooler pipe clip failed, literally a $10 part. But here we are in 2018. They are on pole position with the two cars, the 7 and 8. Then we've got the Rebellion, the first of the Russian SMP racing, a Dallara in inverted commas. Row 3, Sister Rebellion and the Dragon Speed car. And the Collis has spun on the warm-up lap. Holy moly, I hope they're getting all of their bad luck out of the way at the beginning. That is pure cold tyre spin.
Yeah, a bit of a panicking, bit of cold tyres, and at least it looked like he kept it going. But you're absolutely right, Toby. This is Toyota's race to lose, isn't it? They're the favourites. They've got no other manufacturers competing against them. They are, their 20th attempt at winning this race, and this is unquestionably their best shot. Unquestionably their best shot.
Porsche, the 919, has won here for the last 3 years. Last year, it was the eventual 2017 world champions that were victorious in this race. Brendan Hartley, Earl Bamber and Timo Bernhard. Earl Bamber and Timo Bernhard are racing in this race in a sister car to this car here. That is Kevin Estre in the number 92 Pink Pig car. I feel horrible saying Pink Pig, but it gets the message across because that car is anything but a pig.
Yeah, that's it. Kroon said that earlier on. Something else, as you said about Porsche not here with their P1 car. Also something else a bit geeky. There's no number 2. And the number 2 car won here the last 2 years. So Porsche always carried the number 2 on their car the last couple of years.
Yep. I'm looking to see if the number 6 Ginetta got going as well, guys. So that is good news for them. There were some concerns. They didn't do a lap in the warm-up this morning. There was a little bit of concern about their their reliability, and I think it's got going, which is great news for the team there.
Absolutely.
What's going through a driver's mind here, Karun? Yeah, you've got this long lap, but everyone's weaving to warm everything. You're just making sure, even though you're checking all those systems, you're making sure you don't run into the back of anyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously you've got cold tires and cold brakes, and it's just about trying to build up as much temperature as possible. And you know, at this stage, you're also very conscious of the fact that we're so early in what is going to be a very long 24 hours. I know 24 hours can't change in terms of actual time, but it feels like a very long 24 hours. And I think the biggest thing to keep in mind at this stage, races aren't won on the first lap, but they're lost on the first lap. So you've got to make sure you get a nice, clean first stint. Make sure, you know, that first stint is important because you get a reading of where the tires are at. Especially if we're getting a bit of rain, it could be quite good fun.
So how much of a mad dash is it then for the first few corners? Because you see them all over the place, and you, as you say, 24 hours to go. Is it jockeying of positions, or is it trying to just stay safe?
No, you have to get track position, and you have to go with the train. You know, the slipstream effect can make a big difference. So if you go with the train, it makes a big difference to your pace on the first stint, and every stint counts. So, you know, you've got to have good pace. But that's the judgment, and that's the balancing act for the drivers. And that's why teams typically choose their most experienced driver to start the race, just so they can play that balancing act of you know, risk versus reward at the early stages of this race. But we're winding up now towards Indianapolis, and the teams and the families in the garages. There's a lot of nerves around there. The campsites have now been emptied. Everybody on the side of the track, on the grass banks, and we're now into Arnage, absolutely rammed out there. They'll go through the Porsche curves, and then you'll start to see a 2x2 formation for the start of the race.
There is the Porsche garage with the retro color scheme, the brick look, the wooden looked tool chests, the Rothmans car, the truffle hunter, as they may say in German, the pig, because pigs do hunt for truffles. And we are on board with Kevin Estre in the number 92 car. They've had a retro look. They've got a sort of a slate tile look with deliberate oil splashes all over the floor. They've got a grandstand opposite that's all done in that brick look. And a sense of history, as always, that Porsche have got very much to the fore here at Le Mans, where they have won 19 times.
Yeah, they're obviously not competing for overall honours this year, but the GTE race is going to be fantastic. It has been the last couple of years, decided on the final lap, of course, last year. But here we go, guys. They're all winding themselves up now. Lots of weaving around from Andre Lotterer. He, of course, has won Le Mans with Audi on multiple occasions, so he knows what it takes to win around here. The Jackie Chan DC racing car, winners of LMP2. And now through the Porsche curves, you're just weaving around as much as possible, but you're getting prepared to get in formation.
I'm going to say, watching Lotterer there, weaving, zigzagging. He's that kind of like cheeky enough. He might fancy a pop-up these two at the first chicane, mightn't he? Just to kind of lead the first lap or something.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the biggest thing is also getting temperature on the brakes, because when you get up the hill, up to the Dunlop chicane, when you hit the anchors for the first time at speed, you've got to make sure that the brakes are there for you.
Coming out of the Porsche curves, there's been some safety modifications there over the winter as the hand gets towards the top of the clock here on the start line. Rafa Nadal going to be waving these guys off. The world number one in tennis. We'll see those two Toyotas come into view. It is Sebastian Buemi in the number 8 car, Mike Conway in the number 7 car, heading the other 58 cars behind him as they just now can come into view of the final chicane. The tension rises. Who can win Le Mans? Who can join the history books? Who can get their name in the history book for 2018? Who can have the joy, and who is ultimately also going to go through the heartbreak, the pain, the tears, the emotion of something going wrong? We ride on board with number 11, the SMP racing car. That's Vitaly Petrov. So we come through the last chicane of this warming up lap. The tension rises. There's nothing more that the teams can do. It's all down to the drivers for this first 45-minute stint at the Circuit de la Sarthe. The Le Mans 24 Hours for 2018 is about to get underway. The flag is waved and we are go! The two Toyotas lead away from the front of the grid. It is Andre Lotterer. He's trying to go round the outside. He's pushed onto the curb. He's cheeky, isn't he? But he goes wide immediately. It is the Toyotas 1 and 2 as they go into the chicane. And he noses off, and the Dragon Speed car spins over one of the bollards. I think Lotterer's nose was damaged because he hit the back of the Toyota before he turned into the first corner. The drama starts already. Already we come down the S's, down into the Forest S's, and Lotterer is limping.
Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare start for Lotterer and the Rebellion. He got tangled up with those Toyotas, big damage. He's such an experienced driver. Didn't expect him to make that sort of an error, and really the Dragon Speed car, just an innocent victim. But the LMP2 battle now, they've got a slipstream from this Rebellion. It's absolutely madness when you get down to the first chicane.
So that is the leading LMP2 car. That goes through. It looks like the IDEC car. We are on board with Andre Lotterer. You can see the front wheel on the right-hand side. He's got no downforce. He's going to be understeering. Meanwhile, in GTE Pro, it is the Porsche number 91 that leads here at the moment. It's Jimmy Bruni ahead of his teammate Kevin Estre in the pink car. Then we've got the Ford. Then we've got the Ferrari alongside the Ford into the first chicane. The Ford GT number 68 goes through. Cheekily goes through. That is Dirk Muller. He's on to the second part of essentially the three-part